Daisy goes after Robbie. Mack and Fitz investigate the mysterious box, and we meet the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D, Jeffrey Mace. That sounds kind of familiar. It's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, Season 4, Episode 2. Meet the new boss. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, there are spoilers ahead, just so you've been warned. Alright, so we are continuing the layout that S.H.I.E.L.D. has done the past few seasons. First few episodes really kind of set up. Now we did get a little bit of action. We got a little Ghost Rider Quake fighting. We got, of course, May doing her usual butt kicking, but mostly a lot of setup, a lot of storyline, a lot of explanations of where we are and where everyone is coming from so we can start building momentum for the forward episodes. So let's start this off, of course, with Robbie and Quake. So Daisy goes to visit Robbie, which was nice. Really subtle on the language right there, Daisy. I appreciate the, God, my engine just seems to explode into flames. How can that happen? Okay, so admittedly, not too subtle, but of course, Daisy laying out her hacker ability, still her ability to gather tons of information on anyone, particularly Robbie. So really with this, we're getting a lot of interaction, a lot of play back and forth of Daisy trying to figure out who Robbie is, what his motivations are, and Robbie doing the same thing with Daisy. Basically seeing, are we vigilantes that are out of control, or is there some sort of positive goal here? Especially, of course, since Quake survived the penance stare of Ghost Rider last week, did not get killed the way that most of Ghost Rider's victims will. So Robbie here in that nice little scene sort of looking for a reason to take out Quake. But through all this, we're basically just getting the setup of finding momentum alternative energy labs, which really grabs Robbie's attention and sends him off to an unexpected meeting with Mack and Fitz. Mack and Fitz, of course, researching the box. And I like that little opening bit there where they were looking in the box. They were finding that it's different wavelengths where they can see things. You know, it's not quite invisible. It's just sort of hidden technology. Still trying to figure out. And of course, Mack's just easy comment out of, maybe it's just a ghost. Which I think is where we're starting to run into the changes of perception and perspective in with S.H.I.E.L.D. this year, and of course in the larger Marvel universe, because of course we have Doctor Strange coming out in November, which really is introducing actual magic, multidimensionality, demons, dark forces, and all of that. So with S.H.I.E.L.D. we're starting to move into that, and I think this is, again, a small little bit, but I think this is starting to twist some of that discussion of maybe it's not a form of technology that you can figure out. Maybe it is something else, a ghost in this mine, or as we will get into in a little bit, something a lot darker. So that was a nice little sequence, and of course that gets Daisy kind of reunited back with Mack and Fitz, if even just for a moment, and Mack subsequently discovering that Yo-Yo has been working with Daisy and sort of really upsetting him. And a nice shot in with Fitz also on that as well. Really upset with Daisy. And I loved his just shout out of just, she lost something and she doesn't want to admit it and she doesn't want help, so she's pushing us all away. Well, we have all lost something and you don't see us turning our backs. I just thought it was a great look into Fitz's character and really the kind of dynamic, how things are being looked at. While Mack and Coulson are trying to track down Daisy, Fitz not really feeling the same thing. Obviously still a team. We're still having these connections, able to come out. They're not forcing Daisy to come with them. There is still a team idea there, but really how everybody is seeing her actions and the ramifications that it's having with them. Now, of course, when we're dealing with momentum alternative energy, we are dealing with the ghost in the box, and we find out one of them is Lucy, and we find out they have been caught in those boxes for years. Why? Because somebody else is living in Lucy's house and has been for quite some time. always listen to kids when they say they've seen something. Sometimes they say things that we miss. Just go with them. They'll build relationship trust. Anyway, so she has found out that she's been there for years. She goes back to Momentum Alternative Energy, and while she's able to go through walls, apparently has no problem operating technology and the newer computers that are still working right there. They say it's been closed for years, but anyway, well, that's something we'll probably delve into a little bit more. Anyway, she's able to release the rest of the ghosts, and we find out that they're in there out of some sort of betrayal. By whom, through what, we don't know yet. I'm sure this is going to help to connect all of these dots in. However, it is related to the Darkhold. That's also known as the Book of Sins. It is an ancient, like billions of years in the Marvel Universe, tome of dark magic created by one of the elder gods, Chthon, and had all of the dark magic of the time written in on it. It has a long and storied history throughout the Marvel Universe. It does have connections in with the Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider as well as Blade. Connected with creation of vampires, also plays a part in the big Marvel Zombies run. So, you know, excellent work there. Now, they do seem to be implying a little bit of a tweak from the original Robbie Reyes origins here. They seem to be combining that possibly with the Johnny Blaze. Now, of course, Johnny Blaze did sell his soul to the devil, and that's how he received the spirit of vengeance and went off to do his stuff. Robbie Reyes, a little bit different. Robbie is actually possessed by the soul of his, or is possessed by the soul of his satanic dead uncle. Mikhail, thank you very much for giving me a good heads up on that. I love it when you guys can open my world a little bit, show me something that I have missed. It's awesome to me. Anyway, so in the comic books, he's possessed by the soul of his dead uncle, and they do a little bit of there's a little Easter egg drop they give right there when Daisy is talking to Robbie about his childhood and mentions that, you used to hang out at the arcade and you'd be there all day until your uncle came and picked you up. That's sort of the relaying on there. Now, how much, if they're just going to go with the Johnny Blaze and assign that over to Robbie, or they're kind of making a connection, they're going to sort of combine the two of those, don't know yet. We do find, of course, at the end of the episode where Robbie does tell Daisy, I think I might be the connection. He's obviously very aware of Momentum Energy Core, so there's some connection that they have right there. Perhaps they're sort of mixing and melding the two of these origins together. I don't know. We'll have to find out forward. But since they are, again, opening the door to all these mystical and different levels, they could really go either way with this. And then, of course, we have everything going back on at the S.H.I.E.L.D. base. Primarily, we get to meet the new director played by Jason Mara, who is Jeffrey Mace. Now, that might seem to be a familiar name to some of you. Jeffrey Mace was actually the Patriot and was the third Captain America. Originally in the comics, Patriot was a contemporary to Captain America back in the 40s. And after Captain America was lost and frozen in the iceberg, he stepped forward and took the role of Captain America. So they're going to take that character and do a little tweak. In the original, he was just, he had no special superpowers. He was just a human in great and excellent shape. Here, they're making him an Inhuman, probably a war hero, since they did give that sort of, we wanted a hero to lead S.H.I.E.L.D., someone the public would recognize. So I'm sure they're probably going to take this as he was sort of a war hero, and then he took the fish pills, or however else he got the Terrigen into his system, turned into an Inhuman, a very strong Inhuman, just standing right up to maze blows right there. That was fun. So that seems to be where they're going in with him. And of course, he's playing very nice. I mean, from the get-go, he seems very agreeable, very nice. From everything we'd heard from last episode, didn't really seem to stack up. However, as we do find out at the end, much of that really is sort of a facade, is a play. Yes, he might even be a nice guy, and he knows Coulson, but he is not quite as the giving, playful individual as it seems. He's there to set up S.H.I.E.L.D. to do the transition from being a secretive organization back to being in the public. And so throughout all this episode, that's why he is playing guide to basically the Senate Appropriations Committee there, letting them know that they're doing great stuff so they can get some money. He doesn't have the same money that Coulson used to have. Another interesting point. Did Coulson go through all of the funds, or did that get secreted away for a different reason? Don't know. Anyway, so he's playing the politician, and he's playing the politician very well. However, like I said, with that last conversation that he had with Coulson, yeah, he likes Coulson, yeah, he trusts him, but only to an extent. Outside of that, it's really going to be his show. So he may seem friendly, he may seem engaging, but he definitely has an agenda of his own, and hopefully that is not going to be too discordant with the rest of the agents. Especially May, who was driven nuts because of her connection in with Lucy there last episode. Just sort of took a little while for May. She's a very strong individual, but it does seem to play out. Now, the possession for her seems to be in protecting everyone else. When Coulson had that conversation with her, it was, you're always doing what you always do. You're looking out for the rest of us. You want to find whatever you think it is and destroy it. And that's sort of how the possession, how the madness seems to have set in her mind. Now, where this is going to go, again, that we don't know. That last final shot of her in the plane, for a moment I thought that was the Senate Appropriations Committee sitting in the Quinjet with her. But obviously it was not. I did a few rewinds back and forth. They had striped ties in the plane with May. All of the senators had more of solid-looking ties. The girl did not seem the same. You had one guy that was bald that was in the plane, and nobody else had that level of baldness. You had a kind of a toilet bowl guy, older senator, but nobody completely bald. So those are two different groups, but where are they going? What are they doing with May? That's something that we're going to have to find out next week. And of course, a couple quick little points. One, I really enjoyed Daisy being kind of messed up, the whole broken arm thing. Reason being is we get to see a bit more of the consequences of the manifestations of powers. How she can use these, but it also affects her. And I just think it's a nice level to have in here. Very often, especially with the rest of the Marvel, is everybody has their powers, they can do all their things, but there really is no effect to them of using those powers. Well, okay, Bruce Banner and Hulk, okay, there's issues there. But really, we haven't seen any physical effects from somebody having to use their own powers there. And that this is creating an issue for Quake, and this may drive her actually back in the arms of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because the use of her powers is just damaging her too much. That might be used really as a good plot point. But I enjoyed the fact that they're actually showing consequences for some of the manifestations of these powers. Also, we got to find a little bit more about Coulson in this, or more to the point, why Coulson is no longer director. That he had set down, that he had requested to step down for his own reasons when S.H.I.E.L.D. was going to be made public. He wasn't forced out. This was a choice of his own. And he was the one that suggested they needed to find someone strong, someone that the public could trust, and obviously a powered person, and that's where they found Jeffrey Mace. So, but it is interesting to see, again, that Coulson had made the choice that had brought him back to just agent status. They don't clue in the whys, and I'm really hoping that they can come up with a more substantial reason than, again, just I can't let Tony Stark know that I'm alive. At this point, seriously, it's getting old. Just come up with another reason, and I'm more than happy to go with it. But I'd really appreciate them just not rehashing that same old thing for, of course, reasons that I threw out last week and have before. And of course, I got a kick out of May's little trainee when she's called her ma'am, and May just said, "No, just call me May." And her response, "I can do May. I can do that, May." Just a nice little moment. I don't know. Maybe May sees something opening up in her future. All right, so I think that's going to wrap us up for this week. If you did enjoy this review, please go ahead and hit the like button. You can hit the subscribe button right over here and come back every week. Now, next week, we do not have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's the vice presidential debates, so we've got a week off, and then 2 weeks from now, S.H.I.E.L.D. will return, so we can check that out. Also, you guys know how much of a fan I am of Marvel movie news over on the Popcorn Network. Well, I got to sit in with the guys at the table on today's episode. So I'm going to throw up a link